Rated M for mature.
In a world of darkness, there was born a child of melancholy and mirth, who grew into a man of primal existence, unleashing passion and fury with his hands and his blades. His epic journeys through mystical lands led him to become the ultimate warrior. His name is Conan. THQ has teamed up with Nihilistic Software to create an action combat game of legendary proportions. Based on the elaborate world as depicted in the Robert E. Howard novels and inspired by the artistic flair of Frank Frazetta, this game will impress even the most fervent Conan fans. And with intense visceral combat, original storylines, and powerful cinematic gameplay, Conan will appeal to anyone who lives for adventure and battle. So if you are ready, journey with us now as we go behind the scenes and explore the world of Conan.
My name is Robert Huebner. I'm the project director for Conan and the president of Nihilistic Software. Conan is definitely a hardcore combat game where you basically get to be a barbarian and fight the way you see Conan fighting in the movies and read about him fighting in the books. So you really get to do take no prisoners, anything goes kind of combat.
Conan is a third-person action game. It's a little bit similar to maybe God of War or Ninja Gaiden, Devil May Cry. But the big thing that differentiates Conan from those games is the depth of the combat tree and his moveset and the ability for him to use many different weapon types and switch them on the fly just by picking them up off the ground.
The character we're using in this game is the Robert E. Howard Conan, so he's a smart guy, he's an ambitious guy, but he's also a brutal guy. Some of the goals of making Conan were, first of all, to make sure that the combat experience was really rich and deep, because the player, playing a 15-hour combat game, you really have to make sure that the combat is always changing and always challenging.
Besides the large number of moves, which, can chop off limbs in a variety of ways, there's lots of ways to kill people through just environmental kind of stuff that's fun to see.
Anything you see in the environment that looks big enough for a barbarian to pick up and throw, you probably can.
You're throwing guys into spikes on the walls and they're getting impaled.
There's a lot of moves to unlock. Each tree has, approximately 30 unique moves, and all told, the combat system has over 100 moves to learn.
You're not just fighting, but sometimes you're fighting mixed with puzzle solving, and you're manipulating large parts of the environment. We take these puzzle solving elements and we mix them with the combat that we have to try to vary up the gameplay and challenge them in different ways other than just the combat reaction. Conan faces tons of enemies from all the typical Robert E. Howard places that Conan visited in the books. So he'll go to Stygia, he'll go to Kush. There's a lot of different soldier-type enemies, but we also have monsters, and there's also quite a few boss characters as well that are very fearsome and large. There's the sand dragon and the elephant demon.
We've got a giant squid level that we showed that really you're on a boat and the giant squid is not just attacking you, but he's attacking your entire boat. I think there's a lot of variety in the types of bosses the player will encounter. Frank Frazetta had a big impact on our art style right from day one. It's really challenging because, a lot of games are going for photorealism, and we really wanted to do something different. We wanted to kind of paint brush strokes and paint halos around things and kind of outlines around characters, much the way that Frazetta did in his paintings. Other challenges were to really represent the world of Conan in all of its sights, smells, sounds, and so we worked a lot on the sound design, the artistic design, to make sure that the world of Conan feels like Hyboria. We have, jungle islands, we've got sort of ruined temples that no man has stepped on for years, we've got underground caves, so the diversity of the levels was a real challenge. So it took a lot of time to capture it, but I think it's great because the player, as they walk through the missions and walk through the levels, they're always seeing something new and they're always being surprised by a visual that they haven't seen before.
To realize their goal of creating a cinematic gameplay experience, Nihilistic enlisted the talents of some of Hollywood's top names, from award-winning scriptwriters and music composers to feature film actors to provide voiceover talent for key characters in-game.
The music was scored by some really talented musicians. It's all original compositions. We really wanted to get that big, grand, heroic orchestral style.
Today, I had the best musicians on the planet playing music that I wrote for Conan, and it's bigger and better than I could have ever imagined. It's much more tribal, much more jungle. The whole point that we're shooting for in this project is to have a memorable soundtrack.
I think we captured that pretty well. It's the epic fantasy, but it's also all original music.
We have some cool voice actors working on the project.
Into the bush, you curs.
Now say it like you're gonna slit their throats if they don't go into the bush.
Conan, he's mythic in scope, and he's got a great heart. And I really believe that the thing that separates the real lasting heroes from the fly-by-nights are the heart of the character.
I play Akana, who's a pirate, and she gives Conan a proper run for his money.
We have time to kill before we reach those shores, barbarian.
She's just a strong fighter, and I love playing those types of female roles.
If you like action games, you will like this game.
I think the visceralness of it, and when you mix that with the audio and the effects and the blood, it really does kind of get you pumped up at a really deep animal level.
I think the hardcore fans will appreciate that we're drawing from Robert E. Howard and from Frank Frazetta, which is really the core of the Conan universe.
What I want gamers to take away is that they're infused with energy in playing the game, and if they want to continue to play the game. If they got to get in there and they got to play that game and they love it, then we're doing our job.